Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Schwafel, and I'm here to tell you a little story. So there's this young Indian chief who was asked by his tribe when winter was coming and if it was going to be cold. Well, this Indian chief, he really didn't know what to say. He wasn't taught the old ways by the elders. He didn't know how to look at the sky or listen to the ground or anything like that. So what did he tell his tribe? He told them, of course it's going to be cold, go gather some firewood. So what he ended up doing is later on that evening, while the tribe was asleep, he snuck off the reservation and he called the local meteorologist, gave him a call, and he said, hey, is it going to be cold this winter? The meteorologist said, yeah, it's going to be very, very cold. It's not going to be anything that we haven't seen before, but you want to make sure that you stay prepared. So the Indian chief, he said, okay. Goes back to the tribe the next day. He says, go gather all the firewood that you can. It's going to be cold. It's going to be frigid. We need to make sure that we're prepared for this. So a couple of weeks go by. The Indian chief, he still wants to make sure that it's going to be cold, that they're going to be prepared. He goes back off the reservation while nobody knows. Goes and calls this meteorologist. Meteorologist says it's going to be freezing. It's going to be record-breaking lows. He says, oh really? He says, you need to be extremely prepared for it. So he goes back to his tribe, and what he ends up telling them is to gather all the firewood, all the branches that they possibly can. It's going to be record-breaking lows. It's going to be freezing. They have to be extremely prepared for this. So meteorologist, just a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks right before winter is about to hit, the Indian chief goes and he calls the meteorologist and he says, what's it going to be like, man? I need to know. I need to tell some people. So the meteorologist ends up saying it's going to be record-breaking low, it's going to be freezing. And the Indian chief, he's just astounded. He doesn't know how the meteorologist knows this. So what he ends up doing is asking the meteorologist, he says, how do you know it's going to be so cold? He says, well, we've been observing the Indians on the reservation. They've been grabbing a bunch of firewood. That's how we know it's going to be cold. So it's a little bit of a joke. But the thing is if you look at that joke, the two people were dependent upon each other, right? The meteorologist and the Indian chief. They were dependent. So if one was wrong, the other was going to be wrong. And if one was right, then the other one was going to be right, right? But the thing was, is if one of them was going to be wrong, then the other one, the expectations that they had are going to be dashed. Okay? So one person was dependent upon the other. Think about that real quick. Now in our life, we tend to do that too. We tend to depend on other people. Okay? Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but think about this. What if you depend on someone and they end up disappointing you, right? Well, who are you going to blame? Are you going to blame them or are you going to blame yourself? Well, first off, we're going to blame that person, right? Because that's what we tend to do. But think about it. What if you didn't have anybody to depend upon? Who would you have to depend upon? Yourself, right? Your only person would be yourself. So here's the thing, is if you have to depend on yourself, are you going to be the type of person to go out and do the things you need to do in order to accomplish the goal that you have at hand? Okay? Now there are two types of people in the world, successful and non-successful. Success, of course, being relative. A successful person goes out and he gets what he wants to get, or she gets what she wants to get. She finds the resources, she finds the help necessary. And then she brings it in, she accomplishes her goal. He accomplishes his goal. Now the non-successful person, what they tend to do is they tend to wait. They tend to blame others, and they tend to stay stagnant in their life, in their situation, whatever it might be, and they wait for somebody to come help them. And whenever that help isn't what they needed, guess what? They blame that person. They don't ever take responsibility. They don't ever hold themselves accountable. Now, the question is which person are you going to end up being? Do you want to be that non-successful person, or do you want to be that successful person? Do you want to be the person that waits for other people to do things for them, or do you want to be the person that takes responsibility, that holds that accountability, and that goes out and finds the help that's necessary, the resources that are necessary in order to help themselves succeed? Now that question is pretty easy to answer. If you're watching this video right now, you might be that type of person that wants to go out and find that help. He wants to go out, she wants to go out, find that help, get that responsibility, get that accountability, and then bring it to fruition because you have goals. Now the first thing that you need to do whenever you have that goal is decide. That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing to do. Because we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. We go all over the place and we can never make a decision. But it takes focus. And the thing is whenever you decide to focus, whenever you decide to make that decision, whenever you decide what you truly want, that's when everything starts happening. Because God, the universe, whatever you truly believe in, whatever you tend to believe in, is going to make it so that decision happens. So that goal, so that want, whatever it might be, so that it happens. But all you have to do is decide. And through that one decision, that one choice, everything else around you, the universe, God, starts to move everything around so that one thing takes place. Isn't that crazy? It's a decision. It's you. It's not the person over here, it's not the person over there, it's not your mom, it's not your dad, it's not your spouse, it's not your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your kids that are going to change your world. It's you. You are going to change your world. And you have the power to do that. And it's your responsibility in order to do that, because if you're looking for change in your life, if you're looking for change around you, if you're looking for change in other people, it all starts right here. It all starts within. It all starts with one decision to say, I can do this. I believe in myself. I'm valuable enough. I have the power to change the entire world around me by changing myself first. Right? So who are you going to be? Are you going to be that non-successful person, or are you going to be that successful person? Are you going to take the responsibility and the accountability that go along with that success? Or are you going to sit there and are you going to blame others while you still don't get what you want? Are you going to decide, are you going to make the choice, or are you going to push yourself to a whole nother level? To heights that you've never even seen, to climb to places that you didn't think were possible? Or are you going to sit and wallow? The choice is yours. So remember, live with intention, be bold, be fearless, make a difference, and live the life that you were destined to live.